Advocates, I know I hear someone did not mute their mic.
Yes, somebody has not muted their mic. I can see, but I cannot see from my side. Please, to all our attendees, please just mute your mic so that we'll be able to continue with the session. We don't have much time, so please let's just adhere to those rules, please. Thanks, Advocate Bye.
Thank you, Advocate Saneho. So, learned friend, as you can see, if we continue not adhering, Linata now has a camera on, even though it's dark, it's going to interfere with the class and it's going to take time because we only have an hour, nothing more. Only an hour. After an hour, me and Advocate Saneho have another commitment to attend to. So by 2 minutes before 11, I'll be wrapping up. It doesn't matter how far we will be because we have another engagement, unfortunately. So time is not on our side. So learned friends, kindly adhere to the rules. Mute your mics. Switch off your cameras. Someone says, Dilika said, I must also use transcript. Sometimes transcript does not transcribe the correct way in a correct form. And I don't know what are the implications also. Oh, Advocates, I know what is your advice with that, with the transcript specifically, not recording?
Thank you, Advocate Bye. I think you are spot on. Absolutely correct. I think it doesn't translate exactly correctly sometimes. So most of the time you might think that you'll rely on the transcripts, but it doesn't provide accurate information. So my advice is that if we are audible on this platform, because we are recording, our students will be able to access this recording at a later stage. I think that will be best.
Thank you so much, Advocate Sano. I hope, learned friend, you heard that. And I think it's a good advice, Advocate Sano, because I've noted that in the past. Before we can say anything, learned friends, I thought I'll have maybe 3 minutes to talk to you guys, just to say to you, I know your journey and it has not been easy, but I'd like to congratulate you having reached this milestone this far, because you can never do PVL 3704 in your first year, never. So it means you are almost nearing the completion of your qualification. Hence, I'd like to say to you guys that congrats on this milestone. I know it was not an easy journey because I've traveled this journey before. I've been a student before I'm this side. So, but I'd like to say to you, you've got this, learned friends. You have ability to do anything. And I also know that you are greatness waiting to happen. I like telling people that I know that I'm not talking to ordinary people on this platform. I'm talking to proper people. I'm talking to greatness in the making, in transit. The reason I'm saying this is because I know that some of you are already leaders where you work. Some of you, yes, you are still students, but you are future leaders in the making. There's no way you can study these qualifications and just remain ordinary, never. So, but I want to say this words that I also know that some of you have kids, some of you are working, you have other commitments other than studies. So I really respect you for that, and I applaud you for forging on, even when the currents seem to be against you. You just weather the storm as if nothing is wrong, and we are with you in spirit. And I also acknowledge that sometimes we get anxious, we don't know that we are on the right track or what, but I'll tell you that, you know what, you can do it. You have power. You've already demonstrated that. And I also want to mention that if we focus, there's nothing that we cannot do. Yes, we might have obstacles along the way. Some of you, how many, I know that there have been tears along the way. There have been thoughts of, you know what, I want to quit. Let me tell you my story. After I had passed 8 modules, just 8 modules, I said to myself, I am not going back. It doesn't matter what's happening. With 8 modules, I can never drop out of this course. So how much you guys, you're almost at the end of the road. So please do not give up. Just forge on and get the qualification and go and make us proud out there. And also I want to say this, that you know what, I've been in a place whereby my confidence is not boosted. You find that sometimes you think you are not smart enough, you made a wrong choice. But I want to say to you, you did not make a wrong choice. And because you are here on this platform right now, I want to tell you that you're one of the smartest people around. I've read certain article and it says the qualification that we are doing that is related to law, whether be it become law, LLB or what. I'll request you to please, yes, switch off. I hope it will be removed from the screen because I have to share slide. It's one of the difficult qualifications. It's equated to medical qualification, to actuarial science. So I want to tell you that the qualifications that you are doing, because it requires a lot of reading, a lot of focus, a lot of time. So I want to tell you guys that you are trailblazers. And I know advocates I know can attest to that you guys, you're just not ordinary people. Just for being on this platform, just being registered for these qualifications. So I want to tell you guys that the struggle continues. You are almost done. Prepare that dress or that two-piece suit, that whatever for your graduations. And when you keep on looking at it and you say, you know, one day I'll be wearing you and I'll be walking on the stage to collect what I've been working hard for. And not only that, you're going to impact the communities globally, but we start on first locally. We start with our local communities and then we are going to impact them globally, because you're not just a local person, you're global material. You can impact anyone from anywhere. I have a student that studied LLB with us, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and she wrote to me and said, you know what, for the module that you are assisting me when you were supervising HMLLB, I managed to get admitted at an international university in the US. I can't mention the university. And she said, because of the foundation that I got from you guys there, and also the good work that you did when you were teaching us, I am aligned and then I was rendered competent internationally. So guys, we are not only preparing you for today. Teboho, please switch off and mute, please. Please, everyone, let's switch off and mute. So guys, you know what? If I can talk the whole day. So I don't want to waste time. Advocate Saneho, I'm going to share I see Deborah's hand is up. Deborah, please. Deborah is trying to say something. The floor is yours, Deborah. You can say something. You are recognized, Deborah. Thanks, Agani. Hi, Deborah. You are recognized. I think Deborah is struggling with something at the
I'm struggling, yeah.
Friends. Yes,
Yes,
I can see you struggling. Please kindly figure it out on your side. And Leonard Friend, is true. I relate with you, Deborah, why you're struggling. Advocate Sano I like telling Advocate Sano that he's very savvy with technology. So he's the one that teaches me what to do, how to do certain things. So Leonard Friend, as you see in this platform, not only are we learning law and whatever, you're also learning technology. So I don't know if there's anyone who can write on the charts. Thank you. You have figured it out. Now you have learned. Lifelong learning, colleagues. So now I'm going to share my screen and then allow Advocate Saneho to take the podium to share wisdom with us, guys. To share wisdom with us. Advocate Saneho is a module leader for this course, Leonard Friend. He is one of the brilliant guys I know. And when I tell him this, he's so modest. Someone wants control, please. Don't touch anything, my Leonard friends. Leave things to me to share, please. Let me stop sharing and start again. Leonard Friend, as I was saying, I'm now introducing you to Advocate Sano. Advocate Sano is one of the brilliant colleagues I work with. He's a module leader for this course, and he's very modest and very soft-spoken, but words of wisdom from him, knowledge. He's a hub of knowledge. Let's listen to him and try and absorb everything that he's going to say to us. And he's also an admitted advocate of the High Court of South Africa. And there's a lot that you can learn from him, colleagues. Now I'm handing over the podium to him, and I'll try and share my screen so that we continue. But I see we have some issues. I'm going to resolve them now, and then I'll ask if you can see my screen. Advocate Saneho, the podium is yours, my leader.
Thank you so much, Advocate Bai, and thank you so much for that kind welcome. I'd like to take this opportunity again, maybe just to welcome our students to this platform. Yeah, I think while you still gonna share the slide, just want to indicate the reasons why we decided to have today's session. Today's session is the first of the series of sessions that we intend to have with our students. I don't know if all of you can hear me, but this is indeed the start of the sessions that we're gonna have with our students. The reason why we decided to have these sessions is that we should give our students opportunity so that they can interact with us. The important thing is here is just to prepare ourselves for the upcoming examination and give our students an opportunity to interact with us. Some of our students might not be able to ask certain questions, but this is an opportunity. So this is since this will be the first one, so it will be just an overview of the module. I know the reason why you want to do an overview is because assignment 2, I think some students are still busy with assignment 2. So we don't want to go deeper and start discussing technical issues where eventually we might run the risk of giving away answers to some of the questions in the assignment 2. So that, but in the meantime, because we've received a number of queries. I remember one student was asking that she just said, "I don't understand this module. This module is difficult. I don't know where to start." And she was worried that even the assignment 1, she's gonna get a lower mark. And that is, I think she echoed sentiments of few other students as well. So we decided to have this session so that we look at the module itself. Hopefully after this session, our students will be in a better position to understand the module going forward. I think perhaps maybe the way we should start, I think I'll start where Advocate Bai mentioned that sometimes our students think that they don't know whether they are on the right track or not. It's always a challenge, but one thing that I want our students to know is that we've decided to have these 2 study guides for this module. So we summarized all the important sessions that will be that students need to study and know before they go and write the exam in May, June. So we did not want to prescribe a book. We could have if we wanted to, but we wanted to make things slightly easier for our students because the module can be slightly technical as well. Considering that this module is remedy based, so your focus should necessarily not on the principles themselves, but on the remedies. So you have to focus on the remedies and know these actions and their requirements as well. But one thing that one can ask, why do we have this arm of the law, which is unjustified enrichment? Why do we have such a module? The reason will be certainly just to make sure that we find that balance in equity and reasonableness. So eventually we want our law to be fair. So if any legal system does not have such a legal system or an arm of the law which strive for fairness and equity, then one argues that it might not be well developed. So this module is very important because it achieves exactly that. It achieves the fairness and equity, in a sense that if somebody has been impoverished as a result of somebody being enriched at their expense, the law should allow remedies and avenues for those parties to be able to claim compensation. I'm really sorry, Advocate, but I see that you keep admitting students, so it's a bit of an administrative challenge. But I think in the next session, we'll do things slightly differently, where maybe we can work on the settings so that students can then just join in without having to be admitted all the time.
Thank you.
But like I said, it's a principle that underlines this module is fairness and equity. So these principle actually fits into the general principle of Ubuntu, which underpins our constitution as well. Yeah, so this is the introduction. So that's the main thing. That's the main thing. So the principle underlying this module is to ensure that whoever is impoverished at the expense of another, they have a remedy to claim compensation or remedies to be put in the position that they should have been had there been no unjust enrichment. So that's just an overview. I think that's what I've said now. It's just an introduction to the module. Many of our students will realize that study guide 1, we focus on number of remedies. But before we get to the remedies, Advocate Bayo, I'll ask you maybe just to go to the next slide. So there are general requirements for anybody who wants to rely on this on the law of unjustified enrichment. So if you feel that you've been unjustly impoverished, there are specific requirements that you need to meet for your claim to succeed. So these are the general requirements for enrichment liability. So one is enrichment, the other is impoverishment, sine causa, and causality. And I believe most of our students here know what we are talking about when you talk about these 4 pillars of this action. So when we talk about enrichment, we simply talk about somebody or the transfer of benefits. Benefits might include property or whatever, or something of value being transferred from one person's patrimony to another. So that's enrichment. And then the second requirement is important. So these are the requirements that one needs to meet for their enrichment claim to succeed. So if you feel that you have been impoverished, and somebody has been enriched at the expense of your impoverishment, and then sine causa requirement, which is that the enrichment was without sufficient legal cause, and causality, meaning that there must be connection between enrichment and impoverishment. So these are the three important remedies that one needs to meet for the enrichment action to succeed. So far, I believe our students understand these requirements. It is not a difficult for them to understand, unless maybe some of our students would like to ask few questions thus far with regard to these general requirements for enrichment liability. Maybe we can slightly pause here and just allow students, whoever who has a question, then they can just raise their hand. But these are the general requirements for enrichment liability. And Advocate Bai.
Thank you, Advocate Saneho. Learned friends, is there anyone who has questions so far? If there's anyone with a question, kindly raise your hand and I will identify you. Oh, you okay? Thank you, George. You are recognized. Hello, George. You can go ahead and ask a question, please, sir. It seems George is having trouble. The mic is unmuted, but we can't hear him. I don't know what's happening. While George is busy fixing technical issues, is there any other person with a question? George, try and fix things on your side. If now you're fine, you can then come back.
Yeah, and if George cannot be audible, maybe George can just put the question in the chats, and then we can attend to those questions. So those are the four requirements for unjustified enrichment. So if a party feels that they want to raise an unjustified enrichment claim in court, these are the four requirements, the general requirements that one party must meet for their action to be considered. So I think the difficulty sometimes comes with the actions, because it is these requirements. I would ask Advocate Bai to go to the next slide. Because this module is based on specific actions. Specific action, I mean the remedies. So there are specific remedies that are recognized that one party must rely on. So if you have an enrichment claim, it's not sufficient for you just to prove that there was impoverishment, there was enrichment. So the enrichment was sine causa, and there's a causal link. You have to go further than that. Also, by locating your action within one of the remedies that have been recognized in South Africa. So at the moment, we have. These are some of the actions that one can rely on. So in the assignment 1, I think we focused on conditionability, if I'm not mistaken. So these are the remedies. You'll see most of the remedies have specific requirements as well. if they don't have specific requirement, they have a specific scope of application. So they apply in a certain scenarios. Most of the time during the exam, most of the questions that you will encounter will be, some will be problem type questions and some will be direct questions. So we like asking problem type questions because it gives you an opportunity to discuss as well as apply the law to the facts. So these are the requirements as well. I mean, these are the actions and they have specific requirements. So my advice to our students is that when we prepare for the exam, let's make sure that we understand, we know these actions, and we know their requirements or scope of application. For example, with condition indebit, we know that it applies in certain circumstances, in certain specific circumstances where these three requirements are met, which is there must be transfer of benefits from one party to another, and the transfer or the payment must be due to a mistake, and the mistake must be reasonable. So those are the three requirements for condition indebit for one to be successful. So first of all, let's say you have a claim and you feel the claim falls under condition indebit. So when you approach the court, you have to indicate that I
would like to make an appointment from one military hospital. They say you must come for an anatomy scan.
Somebody is unmuted. Can you please just mute our mics, please?
Oh, she must just walk in. Okay, sure. Because they said, oh, we must just phone for the scan. Also, you can
see
just
somebody
on 20 weeks. Okay, thanks a lot.
Advocate Bai, I can't see whose mic is on.
I was muted. I was trying to tell them to mute their mics, whereas I was muted. Dear student, you are unmuted. Please mute your mic.
Thank you so much, Advocate Bai. Yes, so that's the basis. The basis of it is this module is based on these remedies. So you have to know the actions. You must know their scope of application or their requirements for you to succeed. I see a hand is up. I don't know if it's a historical hand from George or it's a new hand. I'm not quite sure. Advocate Bai?
Dear Advocate, I know is there a hand from Joanne? Joanne?
Hi, Advocate. So I just have a question. You mentioned assignment 2, or assignment 1, where it focuses on condictio indebiti.
Correct.
I just want to ask a question pertaining to the assignment. Can I ask a question pertaining to assignment 1?
Yeah, I believe, Advocate, but I believe our assignment 1 is submitted already, so it's not open at this stage.
Yes. So can I ask my question?
Yes, you are more than welcome.
Okay, so you mentioned that it focuses on the second specific action. However, going through and reading on it, I lean more towards it focusing on the third action. And not so much on the second action, based on the facts provided.
You mean the question in study guide in the assignment 1?
Yes. So if I further read and don't just stop on chapter 4 and continue reading on my study guide, and base the scenario on information provided in the study guide and learning of it, I lean a lot more to the third specific action, and not towards the condictio in debitia.
Okay, no, thank you so much for that question. Maybe I'm looking at the sum of the activities that I had with other students. I think Advocate By, I'm not quite sure. Do we remember the question that was posed in assignment 1?
Unfortunately, Council, I don't remember.
Can I
Because
read
Yeah,
you the
I
question?
do.
we have other modules. Yes, you can read the question.
Okay, it says discuss the general requirements that the defendant's enrichment must have been at the expense of the plaintiff. Refer to your answer. Refine your answer to case law. So basically, the scenario is sorry, my apologies. It's actually for question 2. So A has sold uncut diamonds to B for an amount of 100,000
Okay.
in contravention of statutory law. B has paid the amount, but before the diamonds could be delivered, the money was confiscated by the police during a raid of A's house. Advise B on the availability of an enrichment action to reclaim the 100,000. Refer in your answer to case law. So, as much as the instructions on the assignment says you are required, or it covers from study units 1 to 4, study unit 4 stops at the second specific action being condictio in debiti. And I find that if I read further in my study guide, I cannot pin this action or give a remedy to the second action. I lean more on the third action.
Okay, no, thanks, Joanne, for that question. I think you're absolutely correct. I think there might have been a typographic error in the instructions of this assignment, because you are absolutely correct. The remedy that is applicable to the scenario is not necessarily condictio in debiti, but is a condictio obtuberm, which deals with the illegality. And that is absolutely correct. And also because of the development of the study guides, and some of the instructions have been already developed, the study units, I think maybe that's where the problem arose, that the instructions then were still based on the old study guides, while we have developed the new study guides. You are absolutely correct. So the applicable remedy there will be the third action on this list, which is condictio obtuberm, so which applies to illegality, where there's transfer, or the transfer was based on an illegal
Illegal conduct, basically, between two parties contractually.
Yes.
Okay, now I just wanted to find out, because I didn't want to get penalized with the fact that the instruction said stop at chapter 4, and I went beyond that.
Yeah, no, you will not be penalized for not going further. The instruction was just to give you a guidance, but you are more than welcome to go further and study through the study guide. I think that's one part that we need to correct in future, to make sure that when we develop the study guide, the instructions also are updated timelessly. I think we want to apologize for that. But the applicable remedy, I hope our students manage to pick it up, that actually the applicable remedy there, because it's an illegal transaction, you are selling something that is forbidden by law, the applicable remedy there will be the condictio obtuberm, like you rightfully said. But
can we have also so basically with mine, what I've done is I have taken from the study guide a remedy and a course of action, but I've also encompassed reading it with other legislation for the crime committed and remedy for that based on criminal law.
which legislation, ma'am?
I just want to go through it. So basically, I have incorporated the enrichment application of it. But I've also included remedy or evidence of Section 18 to 21 of the Diamond Act of 1986, which gives the understanding of diamonds and exchanging of diamonds or selling of diamonds without the relevant documentation.
Mhm.
So I've provided that based on the criminal side of it,
Yeah.
and also on contractual law, basically because it is an illegal act and stating the cause of action on criminal law, that basically the contract is void.
Yes.
So I've stated on common law. I've incorporated common law, criminal law, and listed basically the acts and the legislation to support those illustrations.
No, you're absolutely right. But in the exam, please substantiate with relevant case law. So don't focus on legislation which is outside the law of unjustified enrichment. The scenario, the fact that we gave you an example of somebody selling these uncut diamonds is just an indication for you that the transaction took place and this transaction is forbidden by law. And we do not expect you to go further than discussing something that is outside the law of unjustified enrichment. But what we want you to do is focus on that remedy, the third remedy on the list, which is a conditio obdubem. Just discuss that. As you discuss it, you must substantiate with a relevant case law. You remember in that the most obvious case that you would most probably substantiate with, because there are other issues that can affect your claim, especially when you have an illegal transaction such as this. Legally, both parties, because of the application of per delictam rule, the law will say both parties cannot claim based on this transaction because it is illegal. Now, because of the Japeg's case, where the court actually allowed the relaxation of per delictam rule. So what we want you to discuss when you get a question like this in the exam, first you need to identify the law, and the law is that the applicable remedy is conditio obdubem. Yes. So first you do that, you identify the relevant remedy. After that, we want you to zoom in. If there are requirements for that remedy, you must discuss those requirements or scope of application of that remedy. After that, we want to see you apply that remedy to the facts. Remember, the facts I'm referring to the scenario that we gave you, that there was this transaction, this is what happened before they paid, the money was confiscated. And now you focus on that. So in the exam, the fact that you mentioned legislation that deal with forbidding of sale of uncut diamonds, you will not get marks for that. Because remember, we're not a criminal law module. We focus on the unjustified enrichment actions. So please, when you get a question like this in the exam, just focus on the remedy, apply the remedy to the facts, and make a definite conclusion. A definite conclusion, you must indicate whether that remedy will be successfully applied to the facts as you apply, and you refer to relevant case law. Relevant case law will be Japeg case, for example, because per delictam rule naturally apply to agreements such as this. So when you have an illegal agreement like this, per delictam rule will apply. I don't know, and then you have to indicate how the per delictam rule apply. It will mean that both parties will legally not be allowed to claim under that contract because the contract is illegal. But you must indicate also that in Japhe's case, the court indicated that courts can relax this application of this rule. So they can relax the application of per delictum rule and allow one or both parties to claim. The basis or the basis of relaxing this rule will be the level of moral standing of both parties. If one party's tainted with guilt or tainted with illegality than the other, for example, one party was not aware and the other party was fully aware of this illegality, or the actions of the parties as we give you in the facts. So the courts can exercise that discretion that they can relax the application of per delictum rule and allow one party to claim. And if they do that, then the other party will rely on this remedy to claim for whatever they might have paid. For example, if the money for the which was confiscated, then they can rely on that. So in your discussion, what we want to see, we do not want to see you discussing legislation which is outside the law of unjustified enrichment. We want to see you discuss this relevant case law and discuss the remedy itself in application to the facts. I don't know if we are making sense.
Perfect sense.
All right. No, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Advocate Sane and Joanne. Thank you so much, Joanne, for your insight on the module. You see, it shows that you were focused and you were able to pick up what you needed to do. Learned friends, you see, time is not on our side. Judge could not answer because of some technicalities. He has a question, Advocate Sanel. The question says, with regards to the causality requirement, how does one distinguish between direct, indirect, enrichment, lien cases of liability?
Sure, it's a hugely pregnant question, that one. Distinguish between direct, indirect, and enrichment lien cases. I think here, George, we're dealing with, when we talk about the general requirements, which is causality, that there must be causation. I mean, there must be connection between impoverishment and enrichment. We simply mean that the impoverishment must have been caused, I mean, the enrichment must have been caused by the impoverishment. So there must be direct link between the two. I see you talk about indirect. I think there are certain parts in the study guide where we talk about indirect enrichment. I think we'll deal with that. But enrichment liens is something separate as well. Remember, enrichment lien applies particularly with indirect enrichment. I don't know if we want to get into that. I can briefly just explain it this way. An enrichment lien, if you have, most of you have done property law, it's a right to hold the property until you get compensated. So when we talk about enrichment lien, it means that holding this property, claiming compensation, emanates from enrichment. So you feel that you have been impoverished, somebody has been enriched. For example, you take your car to be serviced. After it being serviced, you don't pay for the service. So the company can then hold the car until you pay for. So it's a lien. So it's a right to hold the property until you pay you compensate them for the impoverishment that they might have suffered. So do not mix the two, but they are related, because when you're talking about causality, most of the time it is easy to determine whether one party has been enriched at the expense of another. It's quite easy because if one has paid the other party and there's no just cause for the payment, it is easy to prove that that person was enriched by the amount that I paid. However, in certain instances, for example, where there's indirect enrichment, I think we'll discuss that in the next session, where somebody gets enriched based on the agreement that was entered into between parties beside himself, who is the owner. I think we'll have time to discuss it in the next session, but keep it there because they are related. The indirect enrichment is instances where somebody has been enriched. For example, one classic example is in Unjustified versus in Unjustified's case, where Host versus Unjustified, where somebody has been enriched because they had there was an agreement between the person who was looking after the property and the developer, but the owner was not part of the agreement, and as a result, the question in court was whether the enrichment was the enrichment at the expense of the owner, and therefore can the owner be held liable. So there are instances, I think indirect enrichment cases indicate the difficulty of understanding that connection between the impoverishment and the enrichment, but most of the time it is easy to understand. I asked that on this issue, I think we will discuss it in the next session. I hope I made just I managed to clarify it a little bit for George.
Yes, Advocate Sano, given the time we have, I think you have done justice to it. George, in the next class, please remind us to get more into that, because as Advocate Sano has mentioned, it's so broad. It needs that we elaborate more on it. Leonard friends, I saw that some said they request that we share slides. Unfortunately, we can't share the slides today, but as you see, the slides does not give out more. It's what is already in the study guide. I mean, everything that has been said, it's in your study guide. Look at this until slide 4. So I request that we do not share the slides today. And also the recording, you can access it in the chat box. It will be here. When we stop recording, there'll be a recording, but I'll also try and share it under my UNISA, under announcement. I'll try not to touch it there. Hopefully you'll be able to access it there. And another thing, I saw Linda's hand was up. I don't know whether Linda still wants to ask the question that she wanted to ask or it was answered. Then after that, we have recognized a hand from, I think it's Ndilika. But before we give to Ndilika, Linda, and if Linda, you feel you have been answered, then we'll go to Ndilika. Linda?
Hi, Ms. Pai. No, I think I'm answered in the second question in the assignment, because I wanted to just say, in terms of the facts that we were given, there was no explanation in terms of the person who was purchasing the diamonds was aware that this was an illegal transaction. However, if he is a legal diamond dealer, then he ought to have known that this is an illegal transaction. But then I concluded by saying that it is at the discretion of the court to relax that par delictum rule. I do hope I'm correct.
Hello, Leonard friends. It seems we have lost Advocate Saneo. And my apologies, Linda. I was still reading the chat, also trying to admit other students. So I missed your comments in full. But hopefully in the next session will be answered. I think Advocate Saneo also is experiencing load shedding. But I'm glad we are almost nearing the end of the session. And another thing, one of the questions that was asked was that, I'll deal with what I see in the chat box, was that will the answers that the student that have answered until study unit 4, affect their answers in the assessment one? No, it will not be affected. That I can say with certainty. And also, there was a question that will you be given feedback regarding to assessment one? Yes, you'll be given feedback. We are going to upload it. I think it's tutorial letter 201. That's where you'll get a detailed answer of the question that you wrote on assessment one. So definitely you're going to get a feedback, a comprehensive feedback of how you should have answered the question. And also another question. I think I've tried to answer all the questions that you had right now. And Leonard Friends, now it's advocacy now calling me. I think he wanted to tell me that, let me put him down. He wanted to tell me that the system kicked him out because he's on load shedding mode currently. And another thing, let me check the questions. What I've skipped, that is. Yes, I think I've answered all the questions that were in the chat box. We are unable to share the slides because we have only went up to slide 4, and it's what we have already in the study guide. And hopefully, when we're busy with the classes, everything that you need to ask will be answered. But whatever is on the slide is in your study guide, learned friends. And also, that just last words to you guys, you've got this. As Advocate San has said, this module is technical in a sense that I'll just want to remind you that it's more. They say it's remedy-based than principle-based. So we have to change our mindset. Also, it gave me challenges when I was a student because you are from maybe the law of contract module whereby you are principle-based. Then now you have to change how you approach things and just be remedy-based. As Joanne, you can see, Joanne, already you have shown that you have the grasp of this module because you're able to pick up that which specific remedies applicable under those 5 remedies. So if you can be able just to know from a scenario that here it talks about illegality, then it means the specific remedy is number 3. Here is talking about mistake, baby. Then the specific remedy is number 2. We'll be fine, learned friends. Learned friends, I really enjoyed our session today. We had minimal problems with technicalities. And also, I again would like to emphasize this, that you know what, learned friends, you've got this. And we are here to support you. And about lifelong learning. We learn also from each other just by sitting in this platform and listening to you guys. I also, as I said, I've noted that we have very wise colleagues or learned friends in our midst. We are not just ordinary people. We are a group with wisdom. So we also want to get wisdom from you as much as we also want to share what we know with you guys. I think I saw a hand from Vumile. Vumile?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great, and you, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm fine, thank you. Someone asked it on the chat box if it's possible that we can get a schedule for all the sessions that we're gonna have.
Unfortunately, that's a bit difficult to get a schedule because you know what, we don't only have this module, and also we have other commitments. You'll find that, for example, today, as I said to you guys, that when we move from this, yesterday, for example, I was in sessions from morning, from exactly 8:30 until 2:30 in another module. So what is happening is that sometimes, and also other commitments, you'll find that Advocacy No SE is also a representative in the executive committee. And you know, sometimes people at management, they'll call a meeting without notifying us. But what we'll do, like we did before, we'll try to tell you maybe 2 days or 3 days before the class that we have a class on this day. And if you're unable to access the class, hopefully you'll be able to access the recording of the class, because also sometimes our students have challenges with accessing recordings. But unfortunately for now, we can give a definite schedule based on other commitments that we have. You'll find that, for example, like tomorrow, I already have a full day with other classes and other committees that I'm a member of that I have to attend to. So as a result, and sometimes you find that management committee, we are also in management committees. You'll find that they'll say, we have scheduled a meeting for tomorrow at 10:30, and sometimes it clashes with our classes. And sometimes we have to give priorities to our student than that committee, but you find that whatever they're feeding there, we have to come back and bring it to our students. So yeah, as much as, and also remember that with us, we are not like the university like UP. You find that each lecturer is assigned 400 students. With us, each lecturer or 2 lecturers are assigned to 3,000 students, or if not 4,000. Sometimes that, and I also want to mention that sometimes that's what delays us from answering your emails. For example, right, like as I speak with you guys right now, I have maybe over 100 emails that I've received with students who could not submit assignment 1 because some of them, they suffered loss as a result of death. Some of them had sick kids, and those are valid reasons, my learned friends. You know, some of them were sick, some of them were involved in car accident or other form of accidents, and they could not do the assessment on time, and some got registered late. And because of late registration, then they could not submit assignment 1. And you know, assignment 1 is important to admit you to the exams. So guys, as we say, I've been a student at UNISA. I know your struggles. Hence, we want to be here to support you any way we can. So my learned friends, know that we are here to support you. We will try and support you, but be patient with us. Know that we are not only servicing one, maybe only you. Sometimes know that when you send an email, there are some other 500 other students that are sending the same email to me, or a different email, but for this module. And I'm not only lecturing this module, I lecture other 3 modules other than this one. So sometimes it gets difficult to keep up, but we are prioritizing all of our students. We are student-centered in this module. That's what I can say to you, my learned friends. And hopefully, and also I wish you all the best with everything. I know some are left with only this modules to complete, or 3 modules to complete. And guys, really, I applaud you. And I also believe that some of you will be joining us in academia. Advocate Sanel is saying, you are a prophet. And so I laugh. Like I told one of my students one time when he was, he came to consult me in the office before COVID. And I just said to him, you know, we don't know, maybe one day you might join us in academia. And interestingly, some years later, he managed to join us in academia. So guys, I don't only see you as a student. I know some of you are even in great positions. Some of you have lectured doctors in medical field and who are doing LLBs. I've lectured doctors in other fields, maybe in forestry or in social work, and they're doing the LLBs. So hence I say, I know I'm in the midst of greatness. And all of you, some are fresh from the school, but I know they're just not ordinary people. So guys, let me pause here and love you and leave you. And remember, you're just greatness. I know that. And believe in yourself and stay blessed. Thank you so much, learned friend. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.